Hey there, this is Laura Williams, and I want to welcome you to the Encountering You podcast. One of the things that I talk about a lot in my office is friendships. And so today, what we want to talk about is that exact topic. Okay, but today's going to be a little bit different because today I actually get to bring my best friend, because who better to talk about friendships with than my best friend? This is Ashley. She is the co-owner of our practice together. She's my best friend, my ride or die. She's the person that's taught me how to play. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a topic that comes into our office a lot, and it's truly about adult friendships. Adult friendships are honestly one of the hardest things that people navigate, and almost nobody talks about it. Okay. And so today, what we wanted to do is talk about how do you build it? How do you keep it? And then how do you deepen it just from like a superficial friendship to a deeper friendship? And so as we're getting started, the first thing I wanted to do is ask Ashley, like, when you think about adult friendships, what's your gut reaction to adult friendships?
I think they're amazing, but I think they're difficult to come across. And I think what I find myself talking about a lot with clients is, how do we do this? How are we actually going to find deep friendships as life unfolds and we get into different circumstances and we feel like it's just not as easy to run across people that we might get really close to?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about in our offices is that friendships aren't as easy when we get to adulthood. It's harder. We don't have the sandbox to play in. We don't have the classroom. We don't have sports. We don't have the things that typically people have to bond, right? I mean, I think thinking back to high school or even grade school, it's the person who's interested in the same things, or basketball, right? Or volleyball for me.
Right.
Or even in college, you've got fraternities or sororities, or the people who like the same sports, or the people who like the same activities. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's what do we do when we don't have these built-in structures or activities that kind of take the pressure off of us to have to figure out how to meet people.
Yes.
Or how to find like-minded, life-giving relationships.
Yeah. Which the hard thing, I think, as adults too, and this is something we talk about a lot, is that we think that as adults, we kind of have to make friendships like we did when we were kids. Like, oh, you like volleyball? Okay, I like volleyball too. That's a good friendship. Or you like red trucks, so I like red trucks, so let's go play in the sandbox together, right? And in some ways, like, I think adult relationships are like that. And at the same time, one of the first things that we want to talk about is sometimes they're really like the unlikely places that you actually make friends. It's not necessarily around the same things or finding people in the same life circumstances. It is more, it's a different feeling than that. Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, I think one of the things that comes up the most for me is people assuming that because your life circumstances are different, that you either don't have time for friends, you don't need friends, you assume things about each other's lives that may actually not be the reality of what you're experiencing in the life. And then it shuts down the curiosity of, I wonder if this person and I could actually get along and be friends. And I think that curiosity is what we're trying to boost and grow.
Yeah. And that's one thing I think you do really well, right?
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And in fact, like, that's how actually we became friends, is because, when we first started working together, Ashley would come into my office, and I call it, she plopped down in my office. She would just plop down in my office and just start talking. And her curiosity around just who this person is and what are you doing today and how are things going? And, even though my life circumstances might have been completely different than your life circumstances, you kind of took that leap to be curious with me, because I probably wouldn't have done that for you. Like I probably wouldn't have come in because I wasn't brave enough at that point to just put myself there and say, hey, kind of like a little kid, right? Like, hey, want to be friends kind of thing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. But what's interesting about what you're saying there is, for me, what was going on was this lady, this woman
Mm-hmm.
has 3 boys, middle school, high school. She's busy. That is not my life circumstance right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably not something that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
You actually pursued me as a friend, in my opinion.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I popped in your office, plopped down, as you say, in your office. But you actually, in my opinion, are the one who kind of broke through and let me know your feelings about my circumstances and my situation. And then there's no value in that for you in terms of being single or being married or having kids or any of these things. What gives you value. And you set the tone for that and pursued me. So I have to just take that moment to give you credit for that, because that's actually what it felt like on my side of the coin.
Okay. That is so interesting.
That catch you off guard a little
bit. It does
bit.
catch me off guard just a little bit. That is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like our perceptions of what we feel like, because, for me, my perception was this person had all the friends that she needed, right? And also was a lot more fun than me at the time. That's what I would think.
We're going to circle back to that.
I know. I've become more fun.
You're very fun.
I've become more fun.
Yeah.
But that was my impression was I'm too boring, right? Like I'm too boring. My life is too boring. This person is really fun and playful and curious. And how am I going to fit into your life? And so for me, it's funny to think about my perception of that, because my perception of that is like, you actually pulled that out of me, where I felt like, oh, actually there might be a place for me in your life. And so just that kind of, which is of course how you are actually, like you actually are this person, which we kind of laugh about, because for a long time I did not initiate hugs. And she would always initiate hugs. And so she's just like this person that's just going to like grab you in. You're going to just grab me in, which is a funny side note. Yes. Like she said to me one day, she goes, you never really give me hugs. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I don't.
I think the bottom line though is really that even though we're walking around what I would consider 2 healthy people, we're therapists trying to do a good job out here.
Yeah.
We still have our own stuff that we had to address, or else that stuff is going to get in the way of potentially really great friendships.
Right. Exactly. Because if we had gone on our assumptions, right, truly had gone on our assumptions, which I think a lot of people do, right? They just assume either like I did, this person has, no room for me, or they're too fun, or they're going to think I'm boring or whatever, or your assumptions where you think, well, she has 3 boys or whatever it is, right? Like if we stay there,
right,
then we're never going to actually be the pursuer, or we're never actually going to even gain access to the friendship, right? I mean, I think we were talking about assumptions, right? I mean, what do you think are some of the other assumptions that people might make?
Meaning like when they're approaching making a new friend, what they think they're thinking about it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can be a lot of different things. It can be, I'm too much for that person.
Yep.
I'm not enough. My life is so different. There is something wrong with me because I'm not matching kind of where their life is. I think one of the biggest ones, and that's coming up for me right now, as I'm listening to you, trying to answer that, is they're ahead of me. Or I'm behind.
Yes.
And that will just freeze people in their tracks usually. Of putting themselves out there and being vulnerable. And actually kind of saying like, hey, we're in different places and.
Right. Yeah. And being okay
Let
with
me be
that.
curious about who you are.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whether that's different circumstances, different levels of education, different economic levels. Like,
Sure.
I mean, all these different places that we find ourselves. Yeah, I would assume the same thing. One of the other things I think about too is just even the difference between people that are believers and not believers. You know, like we think church is the only place that we should be finding friendships. And in reality, that's not true either, right? Like, I mean, I think of some of my friendships, and I know some of your friendships that we find ourselves in different faith backgrounds as well. And those can be really fulfilling as well because it's different.
Right.
You know, does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those people that are thinking, well, church is the only place I can find friendships that are like-minded, that actually isn't totally true.
And it's not everyone's experience that there actually feels like a place for them in certain church circles, especially as you start to get older, older as in 30s and beyond, really.
Right.
And how that might feel in different settings and what's available.
Yeah.
Also kind of shifts the gears, I think, on that.
Yeah. One of the other things I was thinking about, just as you said that too, is I think about when I was in my 30s, right? So much older now.
It's not as long for me.
Not as long. She's 5 years younger than me. But I think about just feeling a little more whole, like integrated as a person now. I probably would be more likely at this point in my life to walk up to a stranger or to talk to somebody in a coffee shop or to do those types of things. But I don't necessarily think that's an age thing, rather than feeling like that I'm worth actually knowing.
Right.
Would you agree with that?
Right. Like as you were growing as a person.
Yeah.
It shifts friendships in different ways. Like sometimes it kind of makes us feel more connected to people and more likely to walk up to people or develop new friendships, like kind of like I feel like you did with me.
Yeah.
Versus before feeling a little more isolated.
Yeah. So as people are doing their work, sometimes even as we grow emotionally, I think one of the things that people come into our office a lot is they're in a very underdeveloped, right, as far as their own worth or their own value to another person, right? Like, I mean, I know lots of times, even in our friendship, sometimes I'm thinking, this is old, but thinking, why would you want to be friends with me? Like, what value do I add to your life? And so that's a worth thing. But that's mine, right? That's a thing that I have to work on. And so for people that are listening to this, like, I wouldn't have enough confidence to go up to somebody. Right. It comes back to that idea, like, do you actually believe you are worth being friends with? Right. I mean, I think that is something that you probably see too. I don't know that you necessarily identify with that, but I would imagine that a lot of our clients and a lot of people listening probably think like that too.
Sure.
Like, I'm not worth being friends with.
Sure.
You know? And as you mature in age, that becomes a little less the centerpiece is not that. It's, hey, I think I'm okay. You know, I think I am worth being friends with. And so therefore I'll talk to somebody, you know, that I wouldn't normally talk to before. And so inviting people, and if you're listening to this and that feels like you, right? Being the pursuer sometimes takes like being able to go, okay, I am actually worth knowing. Right. Right. I mean, we were talking about this off camera, you know, with some of our clients, that they come in and they don't want to be the pursuer. They want to be pursued. Right. They're like, I'm lonely, but nobody's reaching out.
Right. I mean, the pattern gets exhausting, I think. I think the catch is, like what you're saying, is as we kind of work through our own stuff and then try to have a better sense of self, and we do feel worthy and valuable, and it's time to make all these friends. How do we do this at this point? You know, that's what I feel like is the catch. Is we're getting healthier and we're growing and evolving. And now how do we find other adults running alongside us there that feel similar or feel in a similar place?
Right.
And so that's what I would love to, or that's what I'm trying to help people with, right?
Yeah.
Is how do we do that? And our friendship is a good example of that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it really took a vulnerability of putting, I mean, it's funny to hear you say that because, you know, it does take vulnerability. It does take this moment of going, oh, this could be a big miss, right? Like, I mean, how many times do we try things and it fails, or we try things and it isn't what we thought it was going to be? And so even as people are listening to this, I think the encouragement is, yeah, you might swing and miss like 5 times,
Right.
you know, but
Right.
the one time that it actually, you're like, oh, that person actually seems like somebody I could be friends with, you know, that's where we want to do it.
Right.
What do you think are some natural places where people would like find a friend?
Well,
I know.
great question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we met at work, but it was we were both shifting, well, I was shifting careers and you were coming back to a career.
Yeah.
And we kind of met. I mean, I think my theory is to kind of chase after environments, people, activities, kind of thought processes, you know, so cool events that are speaking on something or things that you love, to try to chase after that and then look around. And don't go there just to meet people.
Right.
You know, I don't think that's the only purpose. Like, just do stuff you love to do or be around thought-provoking things you love.
Yeah.
Not for the sole purpose of meeting other people, but definitely keep your eyes open for people that seem interesting to you.
Yeah.
Or natural. It feels natural to be around them.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Do you think that putting yourself in the right circumstance or being able to take a risk is more important?
The risk.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Yeah. Because I think people get stuck on like, oh, well, I'm going to go, you know, play pickleball and see if I can meet people there, or I'm good. And they get stuck on
that being the only reason.
Yes. Or stuck on like finding the right place to meet the same like-minded people, rather than just putting yourself in places that you enjoy, going to places you enjoy, being in groups you enjoy, but having the thing that actually is the most important thing is being vulnerable enough to walk up to somebody and just open a conversation.
Yeah. And connect it to self.
Yeah.
Before you do any of that. Right. So I think like tapping into who you are and connecting to yourself opens up a lot of interesting things to unfold once you start putting that self out there.
Yeah. Which, you know, is hard for people to do.
Right. It's hard for me to do.
Why we have jobs, right?
Listen, I'm a work in progress as well.
Yeah.
I do think that that's one of the most important things, though. If we're looking to get some deep friendships going.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of talked about like, how do you meet friends, right? So let's talk now about how do you maintain them.
Okay.
Right? Because I think there's this misnomer that if it's not easy, then it's not worth being in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's actually not true. Right. I mean, friendship is a relationship. It's something that you work for. It's something that you want to try to pursue. And I think maintaining relationships is really important. I mean, we're going to talk about deepening them in a minute, but I think, you know, one of the things that you have to prioritize friendship in your life, right?
Right. I mean, I think everybody probably, I'm making this up, but I would assume people think that we have an easy time with that because we work together also. And we actually have a harder time seeing each other than most because we are with clients all day and there will be days on end that we actually don't run into each other in person in our office. And so the prioritizing around both of our busy lives takes a lot of work.
Yes, It does.
It takes a lot of work.
Yes.
And it starts to feel off if
Mm-hmm.
we're very disconnected in that. And when people get disconnected, I think that's when those earlier assumptions or doubts or our own stuff, that's when that
Yes.
creeps in.
That's so good.
And then
Yeah.
it expands the disconnect even further. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an awareness of that pattern even
Yeah.
to pay attention to, I think.
Yeah. So if we were going distance, my fear might be, oh, well, maybe she needs a break from me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And your fear might be,
Mine would be she has got her full family life and that's really going to be her priority.
yeah.
And so I'm fine. I'll just go do something else. I'll be fine.
Right.
You know,
I'll be fine.
It's to shut down that vulnerability.
Totally. Yeah.
Of the fact that kind of hurts, you know.
Yes.
And so your same tendencies.
Yep.
Actually, they probably come in even louder
Yes.
the closer and the longer that you get, because then you're just all in each other's attachment systems.
Right.
And that's when that's going to go on.
So keeping track of our assumptions in maintaining relationships is super important because they can creep back in even if we've addressed them in the very beginning. They're going to keep coming back in. So even if you're in a long time friendship, there are going to be times when those initial assumptions just kind of like, ooh, find their way back in. Yeah. We were laughing coming into this because I just came in from out of town late last night. She's been away for the weekend. She's been back and forth helping her mom out. And I've been traveling a bunch. And I was kind of laughing as we were walking into the bathroom before we came on here. And we're like, I haven't seen you in 5 days. Like, how are you? You know, and so
it's so true.
It's true, though.
It's true.
Right? So even coming into this, noticing, but calling it out, right? Like saying, hey, we just need like a couple minutes to like settle, you know. And I think in maintaining relationships, this is one of the things that I think about too, is people think they need like a 3-hour date or, you know, we have to plan this whole day to spend time together. And really, you know, we were laughing in the bathroom. I'm like, here we are going to do this podcast about being friends and we haven't seen each other in 5 days. How are you? You know, like, but even that, like calling that out and just saying, hey, I miss you, right? Like there's so much power in just that tiny little 30 seconds of time to say, hey, I acknowledge we've had some time apart and that is hard. Right. And I think that just acknowledging that between friends is so important, right? Rather than passing it off to, well, I've been really busy or, yeah, I mean, you know, that's just how life goes or, you know, like, but just addressing, hey, how are you? And even if it's 2 seconds in the bathroom before we're trying to do this, right? There's that acknowledgement. You're important to me. I miss you. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, what I'm thinking about as you're saying that is I wonder if people, and this is just a question for you, I wonder if people think that our attachment systems, which I know you've talked about before, if they really know how involved attachment systems are with friendships too, it seems like that's always being applied to dating or marriage relationships and how at play attachment is in close connections, period. I mean, does that feel like something that is people are aware of or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think in friendships, people aren't as aware, you know, I know we've talked about that where it takes, what is it? A year?
I think it's like 18 months or something.
18 months. Yeah. For your nervous system to join with somebody else's nervous system. And of course, that depends on how much time you spend with that person and everything else. Ours probably joined to like 3 months.
Correct.
But yeah. And then how even the slightest shift in one of our moods or attachment systems can throw the other person off, you know? And I think you're right. I don't know that many people think about that in friendships. I think we are taught to think about that in romantic relationships or partnerships, but we're not we're not looking at that in the context of our friendships.
And it's important for us as friends to pay attention to our own system and do our part.
Yeah.
To reparent or all of these things that you're always talking about.
Yep.
And then come with vulnerability to the other person.
Yes. I think in the maintaining, that's kind of the time period we're talking about too, probably that year to 2 year mark where people are starting to really bounce off of each other.
Right.
And sometimes that can be toxicity in the relationship, right? Sometimes that can be a place where you need to set a boundary. But a lot of times, I think you're right. I think it's your attachment system that's coming in going, oh, I don't know. This person feels off to me today. That kind of makes me anxious. I don't know. Or this person feels off. I am out, right? Like where are those knee-jerk reactions take over? And that can be unnerving to people when you think you found like this great person to be friends with. And then all of a sudden you're like,
here it goes again. It's happening again.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Like that feeling. How would you describe that for you? Like, how would you say that shows up?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I think, when I think about growing up and my attachment system being pretty secure, but I don't think anyone's attachment system is secure all the time.
Yeah.
Where that swings for me on any given day is usually avoidant. So if I sense that, I actually don't prefer to feel anxious.
Yeah.
That feels really bad to me. So I will almost purposefully swing to feeling avoidant and just kind of pulling back and kind of getting pretty hyper independent and as if I don't really need that right now.
Right.
And as I've grown and learned, obviously, I know that's younger stuff coming in, and I kind of get in there with that and reparent that a little bit to say, no, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And you need this relationship and talk about it. You know, be vulnerable with it. Share your actual emotions here.
Yeah.
Instead of getting strong and just going on.
Right.
Like pay attention to what you're picking up on and then communicate it.
Because that's your default, especially as an only child growing up. Like, I can do this by myself. I can do this on my own.
I just want to internally process that. And I don't feel the need to talk about it.
Sure.
and that's that's younger.
Yeah.
That's younger. And so it's been a learning curve for me, especially in this dynamic where our lives are so intertwined with work and social life.
Yeah.
To push past that tendency.
Right.
And slide back into that secure system and say, Laura, I feel off. Something's off.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. And I would agree with that too. I think, and I've shared on this podcast before, but having disorganized attachment too, feeling that anxious and then the avoidant, being like trying to reparent through that too, trying to go, hey, it's okay that she might be having an off day today, or it's okay that she might be upset.
Right.
Right. And not feeling like I have to real quickly, like, oh my gosh, how do I solve this problem? Right. But then also not having that other extreme response of like, well, it's fine. She's leaving. I don't need that anyway.
You swing from one direction to the
next.
It's all in one area. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Before you've ever made it to my office to talk about it.
Right.
That's happening.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. It's so interesting how that happens. And I'm sure people who are listening, probably in your friendships that are a little bit longer, they can feel that push and pull. And I would say normally, and I don't know about this in your other friendships. I mean, certainly I think in my other friendships, there are deeper friendships that show it, but I would say that probably there's usually like a person who's anxious and then there's a person who's avoidant, and that kind of does actually work until it doesn't anymore. Right. Because one person is the person that's like, I mean, not for me because I'm anxious avoidant, but I'm like doing the going back and forth. But yeah, just even calling out that's really normal.
Yeah. I think that happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it scares people. Right. I would say the first time it happened to me, in our friendship, I was
Mhm.
like, oh no, here it is.
Mhm.
Right? Like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
Right? I thought this relationship was going to be really calm and safe. And it is,
Mhm.
right? But when those younger parts start coming up, we talk about reparenting all the time. They're the ones that are actually going, oh no, this feels
Mhm.
scary to me. And we actually have to come alongside them and let
Mhm.
them know, hey, yeah, but Ashley's safe,
Mhm.
right? We're fine. Everything is actually fine.
Mhm.
And I'm going to take over and I'm going to go talk to her,
Mhm.
but everything's fine,
Right. Mhm.
And so I think helping people understand that that's really normal. There's nothing wrong when you all of a sudden your nervous system starts to go, oh gosh, what's
Mhm.
happening? You want to just check in. And I think what you said is really important. It's not about dumping on the other person, which has happened in our relationship. Not going to name any names, me. But dumping on the other person, being like, hey, here's this anxiety, fix it, right?
Mhm.
Actually, like figuring out what it is that's going on in you,
Mhm.
and then going, hey, I just feel really disconnected,
Mhm.
right? Like, I think both of us were anxious coming into this, not because this is a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but not because this is actually really stressful, but it was
Mhm.
more about we actually haven't connected
Mhm.
in person, especially in like, a good 5 days. So it's, but noticing that,
Right. Well, I think, for all of you listening, right? I think what what is the word, take home
Mhm.
for some of what you're saying, I think you can correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, is the patterns are going to repeat,
Yep.
meaning you're going to feel that way.
Mhm.
And I think what I notice happening is then it turns into this shame spiral of
Yep.
see, there's where we get back to the reinforcing of the see, I'm not fun. See, she's
Mhm.
gonna leave. Or that's where people come and sit in the office
Yep.
stuck and can't get out of, yes, that's a pattern,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean something's wrong with you.
Right.
It just means your system
Yeah.
is accustomed to responding that way
Yeah.
for a reason.
Right. Right. And it's actually protective,
right.
but we don't always need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what about, so say, you find a friend, right? Like, so we found a friend and we're working on maintaining that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, okay, well, now how do we talk about like the really deep stuff, like the stuff that you really don't want to talk about just a regular person with?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you kind of go from maintenance to deepening, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I'm curious, us talking about what does that really look like? And truly, I think it's important to talk about like what that's looked like in our friendship too.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we talk about a lot is that when you have deep friendship, it is a kind of covenant relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that, marriage isn't the only place where you like promise to show up and promise to stay,
Mm-hmm.
right? And while we don't have like formal paperwork, there's an understanding between us that when things get hard, neither one of us is bolting, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It's not making that fully committed type of dynamic exclusive to one type of relationship.
Right.
And so when we're looking at each other, and you're the first friend that I've actually said that with, and I love that. And that also came from you, for the record. That was not me that said that originally.
Hey, okay, I'll take that.
See? and to me that was so comforting because nobody talks about that with people unless you're married.
Yeah.
And so to have somebody say, hey, I'm considering this a covenant connection here is just precious, really.
Yeah.
And opens your mind up to the possibilities that it's possible.
Yeah.
And I actually think we need that.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
I think we need more connections that we're saying this commitment is to that level.
Right. Yes, exactly. Because if we only can find that in theory, right, in a romantic partnership, that limits a lot of things because some people don't have that partnership. Some people have that partnership and it's not fulfilling,
Right.
right? Some people had that partnership and lose it,
Mhm.
right? And so I think the thing that we have found is that, I mean, just the ability to say, like, that doesn't just exist in this one box,
Mhm.
that this can actually exist in other places
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
I think about people in the Bible,
Right.
there were plenty of women in the Bible that were in committed, loyal relationships with each other
Mhm.
that they just, like I said,
Mhm.
promise to stand by each other and promise to stay when things get hard. I think I've talked about it before, but one of the things just recently that happened, because this was so interesting hearing your perception of it too, but where I was having a really hard time, everything felt off. And we were talking about something and I kind of came at you, you know, and, um, and you passed over it kind of, but internally it was there.
Well, internally, what was happening is me fighting that tendency I just
Yeah.
described earlier of wanting to just be like, okay,
Mhm.
well, that I'm kind of stepping back from whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm having to
Yeah.
regulate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're regulating.
And I'm regulating that quick, like, oh God, what did I just do?
Mhm.
And then going, well, maybe she didn't notice, right? Like avoid it.
Mhm.
And so the covenant part of that dynamic is going, hey, I don't like what just happened,
Mhm.
right? That was me, right? Hey, I don't like what just happened. And I am really sorry that I just did that, right? And then the covenant part of what happened on your side was and what's really healing for me was you got up and came over and hugged me because you knew that wasn't aligned with how I usually am, right? And so when we think about like that promise to stay, both of our attachment systems in that moment could have just fled the room, right? And we could have been used that mistake on my part to go either, yeah, see, there it is. She's, blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh gosh, yep, I just blew that up.
I don't need anybody. I'm good.
Yeah. I guess you know what? I'm better off on my own because then I hurt people, right? Like that's my own stuff. One thing I was thinking about as we're sitting here talking about this and talking about deep relationships, I think it's interesting to think that we've only been friends for 8 years,
10-ish years, 9
somewhere
or 10.
around there. And most people who meet us, right, or come in contact with us, whether we're doing trainings or, being in our office together, would assume that we've been friends pretty much our whole lives. And sometimes even I think that, where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like she hasn't known me through all of these different life stages and I haven't known you through all of these different life stages. So I think one thing I want to encourage people that don't have a deep relationship right now with a friend, that it can happen at unlikely times. I'm 49 years old, right? So, I was 40 when we really started our friendship and you were 35. And so even later in life, not that 35 is later in life, but it is. The idea that you have to have these friendships forever,
or that it's too late. That it's never going to happen. I think people are thinking, well, this is their situation. This is probably not for me because I've got this, and this going on. And, the reminder is we didn't see this coming.
No.
And just to not stop pursuing people and things that you're curious about.
Yeah.
And you really don't know.
No.
Where it's going to go sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing we reflect on a lot in our friendship is it really was unexpected. It really wasn't, something where we met under similar circumstances. Yes, a job, but like not anything that really brought us together other than ourselves. Right. and to not lose hope, because I think one of the things that I would notice about myself, like prior to meeting you, is that even though I had lots of friends and I was married, I was really lonely.
Mm-hmm.
I was really lonely and I needed a deep friendship. And so just the encouragement that even if you don't have it at 40 or even 50 or 60, I mean, just knowing that it can come at really unexpected times. And just having an openness toward, or an open posture toward it. That makes sense? Or
right. And realizing that, your situations don't have to miraculously line up along the way for it to be maintained. I mean, your situation is still what it is, and I'm still single, and our lives on paper still look very different. And it takes work to maintain, just like anything else. And so it doesn't have to match up ever.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
For it to be something substantial that's going to last.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've covered a lot.
I hope so.
I think this has been really good.
I hope it's encouraging, for people to have hope that deep friendships are out there no matter what point you are in your life.
Right. So just noticing that deep friendships are possible, even just having that posture of like, it's never too late, right? Checking in our assumptions, right? Noticing like, what are we making up about people, even, people that we meet, whether in whatever circles we're at, checking in with what we are, the stories we're making up about them. And really just taking a risk, right? I mean, I think if that's what we're
being vulnerable, I mean, it is
wrapping it up. We're just, those are the main things, I think those are really important when we're thinking about, especially adult friendships.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's been super fun having you on.
It's so fun. I love being here.
All right. So that is our episode for today, but we are going to be really excited because we're actually going to be talking about play for our next episode. And I invite you to tune in because it's probably not the type of play that you're actually thinking about when you hear that word. We are going to be talking about some really fun, different types of topics during that episode. And Ashley will be back with us.
Yay.
So I look forward to being with you next time. Make sure to subscribe just so you don't miss any episodes. I'll see you next time.